Welcome to Minerva Meets. I'm your host, Sonal Chandler, and this is episode 5. Today, we're going to be talking about AI and how to get started with AI in your organization. But before we dive in, I wanted to take a minute to introduce my guest, Murali Kashaboina. Murali is an award-winning entrepreneurial and business-driven transformational technology executive with extensive experience leading and delivering mission-critical systems. Murali also co-founded an AI solutions company, Entrigna Inc., and advises several other companies as a board member. Murali is currently providing consultative leadership at a major healthcare organization in Massachusetts, driving data, analytics, and cloud strategies. Murali is also an industry speaker on topics such as AI, cloud enablement, and digital solutions with numerous publications and media engagements. Welcome to the show, Murali. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me on your podcast, Sonal. Congratulations on launching your podcast initiative. It is a fantastic idea to use conversations like this to bring attention to various topics of professional interest. I'm sure it will resonate with a lot of people. So great effort, and appreciate you having me on this podcast today.
Thank you. So, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be talking about how to get started with AI in your organization. But I thought before we go there, let's set some context on exactly what AI is. And, let's talk about how it's sort of revolutionizing our world today. So, do you mind diving into giving our listeners a little bit more background on what AI is? Because a lot of people think that it's something that just started because of the surge of ChatGPT, but really AI has been around for quite some time.
Definitely, Sonal. Let me try to define AI in a very kind of non-technical, simple terms. So, artificial intelligence, in very simple terms, is basically teaching computers to be smart like humans. AI is definitely not about robots taking over the world, but rather making machines learn from information and use that knowledge to solve problems of some value. And you're absolutely right about it. AI has been there for decades. We have seen some kind of evolutionary emergence of AI in the last decade or so. We have seen the emergence of virtual assistants on smartphones, Alexa, Siris, and whatnot. They are great examples of AI in action. And we have also seen examples of Netflix, Amazon.com, that typically suggest products like movies or other products based on viewership or reviews and whatnot. So AI has been there for a while. Maybe it was not just called out as an AI, but AI has been in the use for the last couple of decades, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Alexa and Siri because I think there's an example of how one AI tool can be better than the other because I can ask both of them the same question and Siri will just sit there and not do anything. So I think Apple has to do a little bit of work with Siri. I don't know if you've had that same experience or not.
Yeah, I mean, these virtual assistants are still kind of under development,
Yeah.
and with the emergence of new sophisticated algorithms, we'll talk more about them, I guess. But there is ongoing kind of improvements in terms of their performance too.
Yeah. And I like to kind of touch on some of these real world applications of AI, in different sectors. So, for example, like in healthcare, we see that AI is leveraged for disease diagnosis and prediction, perhaps personalized medicine, or even drug discovery. And then when you sort of move over to finance, you'll see that AI is being leveraged with a lot of fraud detection and prevention, credit scoring and risk management. And then in retail, there's also AI being leveraged when it comes to inventory management or demand forecasting. So I just wanted to sort of touch on some of those real world examples so that people can kind of realize that, yep, those are the applications of where AI is actually being leveraged.
Those are great examples. So obviously, in the new nomenclature, there is a reference to the existing AI as traditional AI, and then to differentiate it from the emergence of new AI, which is generative AI. So there is always that kind of connotation around the use of AI. So traditional AI versus generative AI. Just wanted to
Oh,
bring it
yeah,
up.
please. Yes.
Yeah, so I'll try to explain the subtle differences between the so-called traditional AI versus generative AI, right? I'll probably use an analogy. Imagine a student who is shown examples of different shapes and their names like circles, triangles, rectangles, and squares of different sizes. The student is given enough time to learn the names of the shapes shown. After the student has learned the shapes to teacher's satisfaction, the student is then tested by showing random shapes, right? The
Mm-hmm.
task for the student is to guess the name of the shape that is randomly shown. So, the way student would then recollect, what that shape is it a circle? Is it a triangle? This is how the traditional AI works. It's more about predicting one certain outcome. In this example, predicting a name out of the possible names that were trained or taught to the student. So that is how the traditional AI works. On the other hand, generative AI is somewhat different, right? So imagine a different student who is shown a variety of paintings of streets in the city, mountains, oceans, farmlands, rivers, forests, villages, and other towns in the countryside.
Mm-hmm.
After the student has been given enough exposure to a lots of such examples, the student is then given a task, right? The task is given a request or prompt. The student is expected to draw a painting of student's own choice, like a view of a small town with mountains, rising sun, or flowing river, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that case, the student will have to recollect all the paintings that were shown earlier and be creative to draw a painting that student imagines at that moment of time, right? So this is more like a student coming up with some new content based on what the student has learned during the examples, right? So
Sure.
this is how the Gen AI works actually, right? Here, the focus is on generating new, perhaps unseen content more
Mm-hmm.
so than prediction. Even though generating new content by itself can be considered as prediction, but it's not the same as predicting certain output, based on
Right.
a certain number of possible outputs.
It really helps to put the two categories into perspective of exactly what they are. So let's dive into laying the groundwork for AI within your organization. Are there key themes that you see when it comes to starting off and trying to figure out which direction that you want to go into?
I think it is important to just for organizations to understand the subtle differences again, the way that I was explaining earlier, right? Between the traditional AI versus generative AI. I think that is where everything begins. And then it is also very important to understand the applications or applicability of this so-called AI types, traditional versus generative AI, right? So I think in order to get there, my suggestion has always been that there are two things that would help any organization build the required awareness, right? One is for the executives, the so-called decision makers, and the
Mhm.
other one is for the workforce itself. My suggestion is that executives should become fully aware of the emerging AI tools and technologies. There are several AI tools available, such as ChatGPT and Gemini. There are
Mhm.
also online image generation Gen AI tools to play with. Actually, they are very simple to use and actually fun to work with. If executives become familiar, I think they place themselves in a better position to really appreciate the types of capabilities of Gen AI, as an example, and become thought leaders by themselves to explore such capabilities further in their own business context.
Sure.
So in that case, it just eliminates the so-called first mile barrier, right?
Right.
I use the first mile barrier, but that is how it is, right?
Yeah.
The second one is related to rallying the workforce, right? It becomes so important, given the fact that there are so many apprehensions out there that AI will replace jobs and whatnot. So the
Right. Yeah.
rallying the workforce becomes so critical. My suggestion is organizations should form a small core team to explore the AI capabilities, at somewhat micro level, and
Mhm.
assess, their ability, the capabilities, ability or applicability to business problems, right? The core team can then become the champions and change agents that can
Mm-hmm.
bring rest of the teams up to speed and bring the required awareness. Once there is a general awareness, conducting workshops across the organization would certainly help, right? So that way, building that awareness becomes so key. One example I always give is what Coursera did, right?
Right.
Coursera is the online platform, very
Right.
well
Yeah.
regarded online learning platform that offers a wide variety of courses, certificates, and even degrees. We all know that it offers thousands of courses on plethora of topics ranging from beginner to advanced courses. These courses are taught by eminent professors and academicians from reputed universities across the world.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and the primary language of instruction is typically English, right? We all know that.
Right.
Coursera's challenge has been how to offer the same course material worldwide, where there could be, language barriers. So they actually wanted to translate, but then they did not know how to actually move forward on it, right? Until Gen AI came into picture.
Sure.
So instead of manually translating course by course into target languages, Coursera actually went in a different direction, right? Took a different approach. Um, you know, Manual translation may be very time consuming, costly, and almost infeasible. So to overcome those barriers, Coursera leveraged Gen AI to do in-place language translations within the existing recorded course videos.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yep. So when I last heard, they actually ended up translating over 4,000 courses into target 20 plus languages,
Oh my
obviously
gosh.
targeting students across the world. And
Yeah.
this entire effort was done within a short time frame with obviously not so expensive cost
Mm-hmm.
and with high quality, right? Most importantly, with high quality. So the same instructor or the academician who is teaching the course, in terms of a recorded video, the
Yeah.
same instructor would appear as if speaking in the native language, and it's so effective, right? You can see a reputed, eminent personality teaching in a native
Yeah.
language, and that is so awesome at that moment of time. So that's a great
Absolutely.
example.
I love that example, and it's giving me an idea that I could actually translate my podcasts into different languages using AI.
You can certainly do that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's with anything when you're starting off, you want to make sure that you've got a clear strategy in place, right? So, making sure that that's aligned with your business objectives is always sort of the key. And it sounds like you're also saying along with that, don't be nervous or scared of AI. Get your hands dirty, right? Encouraging, all stakeholders to start playing with it, start experimenting with it, so that there's a level of understanding, but also a level of comfort with the technology. Am I interpreting your thoughts correctly?
Definitely. So I would like to kind of support my own argument using certain metrics, right? And then
Sure,
I'll talk about the apprehensions out there.
sure, yeah.
So, the traditional thinking has been that AI will impact the non-knowledge professions.
Mm-hmm.
It made sense in the past, right? Understanding how traditional AI could be applied. The focus has been to look at jobs or tasks that are more heavy lifting oriented, right? Repetitive tasks,
Mm-hmm.
tasks where inference from information is beyond human brain's capability, right? That has been the kind of traditional approach to uncover areas where AI can be applied.
Right.
However, the scenario has changed since the advent of generative AI. There are several research reports published in the recent past talking about the impact of Gen AI and how the Gen AI adoption could impact both knowledge and non-knowledge professions equally. And in fact, most of the reports suggest that every profession out there will see some exposure to automation through AI,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Just to quote a couple of examples,
Mm-hmm.
most recently, International Monetary Fund published a report in January 2024 on how AI will impact global economy. This report highlights nearly 40% of jobs worldwide getting transformed by AI automation.
Oh, wow.
Another report published by University of Pennsylvania researchers, this came out in August 2023. They examined the effect of Gen AI on the US labor market, and their research revealed that around 20% of the US workforce might experience at least 50% of their job responsibilities in one way or the other affected, while 80% of the workforce could see at least a 10% impact due to the emergence of Gen AI capabilities, right? So this is yet another
Yeah.
interesting report that came out. And likewise, more recently, the Boston Consulting Group highlighted the immense potential of Gen AI in transforming businesses and emphasized that the time to act is now for businesses because
Hmm.
the genie is out of the bottle, right?
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
and so many reports are coming out, and my suggestion, my take is that AI is here to stay.
Yeah.
So my recommendation to businesses is not to chase AI as yet another shiny object, right? There is always the so-called shiny object syndrome. So
Right. Right.
my thought process is to always start with identifying real business problems where AI could be suitable. Engage stakeholders. I'm reiterating, engage
Hmm.
stakeholders for their weigh-in and buy-in, create a roadmap, and strategize an actionable plan of implementation, right?
Yeah.
A thorough and thoughtful action plan is required because it could be a game-changing and groundbreaking paradigm shift to adopt AI solutions. People use the word transformative, but I will be bold to say that Gen AI adoption in particular is actually going to be disruptive, not just transformative.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so many good nuggets in what you just said. So let's take a minute and unpack some of this. So first of all, I would love to add the links to the reports that you were talking about in the show notes so that if anybody wants to go back and look through those, we can do that. So we can talk about that offline. But there is this fear, right? I think I've referenced this in every one of my episodes about how there's this fear that AI is taking jobs or it's going to take jobs, right? So is it really that they're going to replace people, or is it that they're just going to allow people to become more strategic or focus on more strategic activities?
That's a great question. I was about to answer that one to you, Sonal. So the fact of the matter is that there are several apprehensions and fears, right? There is no
Hmm.
doubt about it that
Right.
AI will replace or displace the jobs, right? That is always in the industry. Such fears typically, from my point of view again, such fears typically root from the inferences being made from the published reports, right? In some cases, I would say incorrect inferences and most likely out of anxiety, which is a natural human characteristic, right?
Hmm.
While not diminishing the possible impact of AI, my suggestion is we all have to do a fact check, and in most cases, look back retrospectively to understand similar impacts caused by similar technological and industrial advancements, right? The
Right.
retrospectively talking about such fears existed back then as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
My take is that the world economy is heavily human-centric and human-driven, right?
Right. Right.
Past automation, any past automation revolutions always resulted in boosting local and global economy in one way or the other. And by theory of economics and whatnot, we know that when there was significant economic growth, new jobs were always created, while existing jobs obviously underwent some changes, right?
Right. Yeah.
The human known formula to counter such reality has always been reskilling and upskilling.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and yes, as projected by several reports, AI will have similar impacts, but ultimately, its promise is no different, right? Its promise is widespread economic growth. Using the same formula of carefully evaluating the impact with the real facts on the ground and enabling impacted personnel to reskill and upskill must help alleviate, the so-called apprehensions and anxiety.
Yeah.
Um, but my take is the same, like I was mentioning earlier, right? My recommendation to businesses is not to chase AI as yet another shiny object. They should always start with identifying real business problems where AI could be suitable, engage stakeholders for their weigh-in and buy-in, obviously create a roadmap and strategize an actionable plan, as I mentioned earlier too.
Mm-hmm.
The benefit is that engaging the stakeholders and understanding, or any impacted employees will bring a lot of transparency to this so-called transformation, right?
Right.
Much ahead in the process, right? So it becomes so crucial to engage such folks because their weigh-in and buy-in and their acknowledgement of how such AI solutions would improve the business processes and what it means from the changes to their daily job activities is crucial because they are the
Right.
subject matter experts at the end of the day. So they know in and out of things, how business processes work and workflows actually are getting executed. So um, such knowledge from them will help determine areas where they may have to be reskilled and upskilled as well.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You talk about looking for business problems that AI could help solve. Is there a method to this madness? Like how can you actually go through and identify, like are there low-hanging fruit? Like do you have a recommendation of how you can spot these processes within your organizations that could be good AI candidates?
I would say that that's a great question again, by the way. I would say that, like I said, it's much better to look at the AI, including both traditional and generative AI, holistically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not piecemeal it, but
Right.
look at, both of them holistically and look at it from the comprehensive outlook of the organization's business model, right? Business processes and whatnot. There is an old saying, right? Think big and act small or start small. I
Mm-hmm.
would probably go with that kind of a suggestion. Create a big picture.
Right.
When you create a big picture, obviously you have to tap into the domain expertise across the organization. So you will bring in stakeholders from across the organization together into this problem-solving effort, for lack of a better word. So
Mm-hmm.
their insight and kind of information that domain knowledge that they own will shape the kind of big picture for sure, right?
Right.
But my suggestion is to start small. The reason is that AI is brand new for most organizations, particularly
Right.
generative AI is brand new. So it comes with a certain amount of cost and risk, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to change the ground overnight with some brand new solutions
Yeah,
without
for sure.
going through the
Absolutely.
due diligence, right? So that's where my thought process is. So think big, but start small so that you can experience the new technology in action, do some prototypes,
Yeah.
do some proofs of concept, prototyping and whatnot, and gauge the technology's applicability in your own business model and make informed decisions as to how to progress with a concrete roadmap, with a proper weigh-in and buy-in, right? Even if there are concerns, there would be concerns given the apprehensions and fears out there.
Right.
I would say that look at those concerns in a very positive manner to see what opportunities they permit, they actually
Mm-hmm.
allow for
Mm-hmm.
from a course corrective action. So always look for the concerns, right? Get the feedback from the stakeholders and all the impacted workforce, so that those concerns can be translated into something concrete to actually remediate accordingly.
Yeah. And so, essentially, I think what you're saying is, develop a strategy that's aligned to business objectives and then create a roadmap to bring that strategy to life, right? And in that, by building that roadmap, you can take the, what is it, the crawl, walk, run approach where you're starting small, you're looking for those small wins, you're doing some POCing, you're testing, you're understanding and you're learning, right? And then from there you can grow and sort of figure out what are some of the other larger opportunities to implement AI within your organization.
Definitely. So just to add to what I was mentioning earlier, right?
Yeah.
For most organizations, going on a AI journey is brand new, right? Particularly
Yeah,
adopting generative AI solutions. It
sure.
is like sailing into uncharted territory, right?
Yeah.
By going on such a journey, by nature of it, organizations are taking a huge risk. And I did mention earlier that I would be bold enough to say that adoption of generative AI is going to be disruptive more so than transformative. So I see
Sure.
three main advantages of thinking big but starting small.
Sure.
The first one is, if we start small, it would give an opportunity for the key stakeholders and other impacted employees, workforce to detect or to identify any of the roadblocks and showstoppers very early in the game plan,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Understanding the mechanics of it, right? How these things work, what kind of roadblocks are there, what kind of bottlenecks are there, right?
Yeah.
Help
Yeah.
uncover things to fail fast if need be.
Right.
And most likely these small steps, small increments, small projects are less expensive. So even if the project is not successful, organizations will not be losing enormous amounts of effort and money, right?
Yeah.
And potentially can easily course correct. So that is the first advantage. The second advantage is that there is always inherent risk associated with AI implementations.
Yeah.
By going through a smaller scale exercise, organizations can understand what it entails from risk point of view and what kind of measures should be in place to mitigate the risk.
Right. And what
Uh,
their appetite is, right? For
exactly,
that risk, right?
exactly. And obviously the risk could be related to data assessment, data quality, data readiness, trustworthiness, everything else, right? The process around it, the any other technology dependency that needs to be addressed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Overall change management, organizational change management, so on and so forth, right? Compliance,
Right.
regulatory compliance, and whatnot. So all those factors will have to be ingrained to ensure that there is a comprehensive outlook, and that adds to risk mitigation, right? So that is
Mm,
second one. The
yeah.
final one, the most crucial one, is building or rallying the team and building the momentum, right?
Yeah.
We all know that the human tendency is that as soon as someone accomplishes something, they feel proud of it, right?
Yeah.
Small projects help in this regard with incremental wins leading up to a greater momentum, of course. So
Sure.
by having the team successfully implement a small project, but a new project using new technology would definitely inculcate a sense of accomplishment, and that will rally the team around, and the entire organization can pick up the momentum from there onwards. So these are the three advantages that I see when an organization thinks big, but starts small on the initiative.
Yeah, I love these 3 points. So thank you for sharing those. You mentioned something that I actually wanted to dive into a little bit deeper, and that's data readiness. So can you talk a little bit about the importance of understanding, how ready you are as an organization from a data perspective?
Definitely, Sonal, that is a topic that is close to my chest, so
Yeah.
I will definitely talk
Yeah, I
through it.
know, I know.
Uh, the reality is that data is like fuel, right?
Yeah.
I'll give an analogy, right? You may have a shiny, high-performing race car, but it won't drive without fuel.
Yeah.
So likewise, you may look at a very sophisticated, high-performing AI model, whether it is traditional or otherwise, but its performance and its outputs are heavily dependent on how it is trained using the existing data, right?
Hmm.
So definitely data becomes foundational at that point. The problem is when we don't do the due diligence, meaning data assessment and data readiness checks,
Hmm.
in terms of what data goes into the AI models during the training and whatnot, the problem is that the outputs may not be as accurate and as reliable.
Sure.
So definitely quality of data matters because quality in is quality out in case of AI models.
Yeah.
And that is where data assessment, data readiness becomes so crucial. So just to touch upon what I mean by data assessment and data curation and data
Yeah.
readiness is that it's all about checking how good it is, right? How good data is, how
Right.
reliable data is, how trustworthy it is. Does it have any latent biases? Are there
Hmm.
any security concerns? Does it have any personal or private or confidential or proprietary information? Is it ethical to use such data? Does it need any special consent or licensing, right,
Right.
to
Right.
to leverage such data for AI training the AI models and things like that? So all these questions the ones that I just enumerated, should be addressed ahead of time before any AI model is looked at or trained, right? Because AI learns from data and can also create new data or content as in Gen AI, right? So if there are latent issues with the data, those latent issues can proliferate in terms of what these AI models generate.
Right.
In some cases, if there are biases in the underlying data used for training, those biases can actually get proliferated, right,
Yeah.
into certain stereotypes or whatever. So that's the problem that needs to be addressed much ahead in the game.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that that's the data readiness part is so key to ensuring that your entire AI implementation goes smoothly, in my opinion. I don't know if you agree with that.
Totally agree with you on that one. Like I said, data is so critical at that point.
Yeah. So if are there some tools that you lean towards when, sort of trying to develop this AI implementation? Are there any tools that you'd like to rattle off that might help with building this roadmap and strategy and just the entire implementation?
Definitely, so there are plethora of tools out there, right? Sometimes too overwhelming too, but
Yeah,
I'll name a few just to set the stage here.
sure.
Um, I would say that there are for starters, right, for lack of a better word, whoever is trying to get familiar with some of these Gen AI tools, I would
Hmm.
suggest that they start leveraging free tools available online, right? ChatGPT has a free version, and
Yeah,
more recently published Google's Gemini also has a free version available. So if someone wants to get a first-hand experience of what these generative AI tools are, these are good starting points, right?
yeah,
At least these are prominent in terms of text generation. So you prompt these AI models, they will respond with some answers or some kind of text generated, right? So this is a very good way to test some of the capabilities of these tools. So I would really suggest that way. And there are several other generative AI like tools available online. These are prominently on the image creation side of it.
hmm,
So you can actually utilize these tools online to create different images, right? By textually prompting these tools to generate some things, right? Like,
yeah,
create a view of Earth, right? Or create a view of a river.
right.
By prompting this way, the models will create fascinating images in real time.
Yeah,
So
and
some examples, yeah.
if I'm sorry if I may interject, I think I recently saw an image that you had generated uh from
Yes.
Earth that was so cool where it was I think it was in celebration of Earth Day, right?
Yes, I did. So I was using some AI model, generative AI model through programmatic manner. But
Yeah.
yes, that is one way of accessing these models, right? Through programs, Python code and other things. But there are tools available online, right?
Yeah.
Where somebody can, these are business-friendly, user-friendly tools. So
Right.
for example, Microsoft Image Creator, I think formerly known as Bing Image
Yeah.
Creator is one example. OpenAI's DAL-E is another
Oh,
tool
yes.
available, right? Dream Studio by Stability AI is also a prominent tool available online. And of course, Google's Image Effects is also available. And I hear that Canva, which is an online
Yeah.
tool for marketing materials creation, is also offering some Gen AI driven image creation models too, right?
Yeah. In fact, I was actually just going to name them, but they're also in the game.
Definitely. And then there are tools that are more oriented for development, like,
Hmm.
for AI engineers and data engineers and
Sure.
data modelers.
Yeah.
There is a framework called LangChain, which is picking up a lot of currency in the industry. It's designed to simplify the creation of applications powered by large language models and generative AI models. So it's more of a development framework, so that
Okay.
is gaining a lot of currency in the industry. There are libraries, right, like programming libraries that are
Hmm.
available, particularly in Python, right? Python is kind of a de facto programming language
Right.
used these days. So there is a framework called Hugging Face, which is providing a lot of inbuilt AI models that can be utilized through programming interfaces. Actually, that I ended up using same library when I actually developed some image of Earth, right,
Oh,
programmatically.
sure.
So,
Yeah.
yep. So these are very good tools available out there for both, business use, the end user kind of experience, as well as developer like experience too.
Wow. Yeah, no, there's, earlier you had mentioned there's so many out there, and I completely agree. I mean, as I've kind of gone on my own AI journey, it can often get a little overwhelming of which tools to use. So I really appreciate that you're kind of naming some in each category, right? Because, someone like me who is not a programmer can go and experiment with ChatGPT or any of the other ones that you mentioned just to sort of get my hands wet if I had no idea where to start. So certainly appreciate the different categories.
Definitely. So.
Let's talk a little bit about governance when it comes to AI. I know that there is a lot around, policy and proprietary information, and just how do you go about governing something like this?
No, I think that is, I would say, mandatory aspect that every business should keep in perspective and make
Yeah,
it, I would say, enforceable as much as possible, right? I mean, don't make AI governance to be limited to policies on a paper, right?
right.
Rather, make it effective by enforcing it in action, right? So, one thing I would like to highlight as part of the governance is the ethical use of AI, right, which is a
Yeah,
major concern out there. Actually, there are several concerns expressed in the industry over any hidden biases in the training data that AI models can perpetuate over time,
right.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
That is a very well-known concern and very critical, crucial concern that needs to be kept in mind. Part of the one of the key responsibilities of any AI governance for sure.
Hmm.
The second one is trust in AI models, right? One is obviously ethics aspect of it, and ethical use of AI will definitely lead up to trust. But there is a need to ensure that the AI models are continuously monitored to ensure that they actually generate very reliable and trustworthy outputs, right? Whether it
Sure.
is
Yeah.
Gen AI or traditional AI. My suggestion is that very similar to the concept of purple teams in security realm,
Yeah.
where a team of security experts perform security tests periodically, right, on business applications,
Hmm.
to ensure that there are no loopholes or anything like that. So this purple team comes into action and they constantly test the business applications for any kind of loopholes in there. My suggestion is a similar team. I would call it as an audit
Yeah, like
team
an
or
AI audit team.
exactly AI
Yeah.
audit team or task force, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Should be formed by an organization that is deploying AI models to continuously monitor the type of content or outputs generated by these AI models, right? Because
Yeah.
in some cases, these generative AI models are so creative, they will create some data, some output that may not make sense at all, right?
Yeah.
That may lead to some confusion, or it could be considered ethically incorrect, right? So, taking such proactive course corrective actions will help alleviate any of the trust concerns.
Yeah.
This way, an organization can continuously ensure that deployed AI models comply with any regulations and any other compliance policies accordingly, right? So these are some of the suggestions I would like to make for governance. And we
Well,
also talked about data readiness. That also becomes
yeah.
so crucial in this entire game plan.
Absolutely. And I think like with governance, don't wait till the end of the program to start thinking about governance, like involve them early on, let them be part of the strategy development, the roadmap development, and so that sort of informs their governance and policies too, right? So definitely don't wait till the end to think about governance when it comes to this.
Definitely. So I would like to add the importance of data into this one, right? I think we
Sure,
talked
yeah.
about it, but
Yeah.
all that matters is data, right? Ultimately, the data that goes in, feeds into the AI model is the one that improves the performance of the AI model, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody is expecting quality outputs from AI models, they should ensure that the underlying data that is used for training purposes is also of high quality, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so getting data from trustworthy sources, curated in a way that one can gain trust in the data that will be fed into AI to begin with, right, forms the basis for quality outputs. If there is an existing data governance body within the organization, I would definitely tap into their expertise to assess
Yeah.
how reliable certain data is. And I would also tap into the expertise of data management teams to ensure that sources of the data are designated true sources. If not, what other sources must be looked at, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
obviously, it's not that data will be fed into AI model as is. There would be a step to transform the data into a form that AI models can consume.
Mm-hmm.
So such data transformation stage would be yet another place to ensure that there are no biases or any latent issues, ethically speaking, or anything like that. That way, those can be addressed as part of at the time of the data transformation itself. If a data management team or anybody can uncover them ahead of time, right? So that
Yeah.
would be a good opportunity, good step in the process to ensure that those issues get addressed very early in the process.
Yeah. No, I love those. Those are great. So let's kind of pivot a little. And, I think you've addressed a lot of also the challenges, right, with AI. We talked about the data quality. We talked about, upskilling or reskilling resources. We talked about the ethical considerations and then the biases. Can you think of any other types of challenges that can arise as you're going through this journey?
I think the most important one is data, right?
Yeah.
But the another not many people talk about this, but I would highlight the lack of expertise and talent may come in as a challenge.
Yeah.
Because some of these technologies are brand new, right? Particularly the way Gen AI operates is brand new. So in most cases, even if somebody assumes that they have been AI experts from the past, I would say that there is still an opportunity for even such folks to unlearn and relearn because don't be under this is my suggestion to some of the other AI experts out there, right?
Yeah.
My suggestion is that yes, you may have leveraged AI in the past. That is all
Mm-hmm.
good.
Mm-hmm.
That knowledge will definitely help. But when you're looking at generative AI, I would say that I would start afresh, as if I'm not an expert at all, right? Because
Yeah.
these models are built differently. The underlying techniques that come into play are something uh, different, right? Totally different than what it has been in the case of traditional AI for a long time.
Yeah.
So I would take a fresh perspective when I start looking at generative models. But overall, I would say that organizations lacking expertise and talent may face challenges in terms of speeding up the implementation. So that is definitely a major challenge as far as I'm concerned. But
Yeah.
the other challenge, again, this is not very well spoken, but it is perceived out there, is resistance to change
Yeah.
and lack of user adoption.
Right.
So that challenge, like I said, we can mitigate it to large extent by engaging the stakeholders and the impacted workforce much ahead in the process, so that we can get the right way in and buy in accordingly.
Yeah. And, I think oftentimes people mistaken this AI journey as very technical, but there's a change management aspect of this that I think is so key, right? That needs to be addressed, that you have your change managers in the conversation so that they can help make sure that the organization is embracing the change, and that they can make sure that their implementation goes well too, right? Because if you don't involve the change people early on, and you start and you want to make sure that you're starting to communicate early and often, so that there's awareness and that it's not this secret project that's happening behind closed doors that eventually gets unveiled, and then there's not adoption of it.
Definitely. So I think because this is going to be highly disruptive and obviously I don't want to use the word transformative, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
I would certainly make such an initiative highly visible in the organization.
Mm-hmm.
And if the organization is thinking big, right, like I said,
Yeah.
there is no reason for the organization to keep it under the covers, right, to
Right.
begin with. Because if they are thinking big, it naturally means that every expertise that is available in the every corner of the organization will have to be tapped in. So there is no formal reason why it cannot be made public and be
Right.
very candid and transparent about it.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I wanted to talk about is, obviously down the road, how do I measure success? I mean, I think that it's important to measure where you are with a program along the way, right? And so that you can course correct, you can set new targets. But what are some ways or what are some KPIs that you would suggest someone have as they're going through this AI journey?
I think Uh, definitely, it is so critical to monitor and measure continuously.
Yeah,
It is no different than any of the other strategies or initiatives that any organization implements or implemented in the past.
right.
I would say that, like any initiative, there should be very well-defined goals, very measurable objectives, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
and I would say it's no different when somebody is trying to adopt either traditional AI or a combo of traditional AI and generative AI. So ultimately, what matters is why exactly the organization is trying to implement AI, what
Hmm.
improvements or gains that organization is looking forward to. So by definition of it, if some organization is looking at improvements and gains, those have to be translated into quantitative measures.
Hmm.
If it is a efficiency gain, all right, what efficiency are we looking at? Is it operational efficiency or human
Right.
productivity efficiency, things like that, and measure it in certain terms, right? Okay, today it is 40%, tomorrow it is going to be 55%, right?
Right.
Make it
Right.
very quantitative that way so that you can start measuring. It could be same thing with cost savings, right? What is that you're trying to say? Where exactly the cost saving opportunities are showing up, right?
Yeah.
And quantify them so that you have a account book around it and you can measure the improvements constantly. Same thing with customer satisfaction, right? I mean,
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
customer satisfaction is so crucial, and there are different mechanisms that can be applied, but ultimately, customer satisfaction score, CSAT score, is commonly used. So where is it today versus where is it going to be tomorrow after the solution is employed or deployed, right? So that becomes so crucial.
Yeah, no, I love those. We've been talking a lot about how to get started, which seems to apply to larger organizations. If I was a small to mid-sized organizations, would the same strategy and steps apply, or would you suggest something different?
I would say that the same rules apply to any small to mid-sized organization as well.
Yeah.
The strategies related to the topics we discussed earlier, right, such as data readiness, data
Hmm.
quality, data trustworthiness, ethical compliance, all these will still apply, right?
Yeah.
The key difference could be in the type of business problems the small to mid-sized organization is trying to solve using AI,
Right.
right? That
Right.
could be a
Yeah.
difference. But there is no need to go for in case of small to mid-size, for example, perhaps there is no need to go for a sophisticated and advanced AI model out of the gate.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe the business problem has specific expected tasks to be accomplished, and therefore a simpler AI model could be sufficient, right? In such cases, I would also weigh in between traditional AI and generative AI as well.
Yeah.
So again, the formula is same. Don't chase AI or generative AI as a shiny object, right? So weigh in on every possible option before finalizing a final solution, right?
Yeah.
Um, Small to mid-sized organizations may also have to consider other factors, which may not be an issue for major organizations. Factors include the initial investment, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, the fact that these AI models need sophisticated computing runtime, which may be an incremental cost in terms of support and maintenance, those have to be considered too. And then if they have to scale out, then there would be scaling cost that needs to be looked at. And then, and then from a customer segmentation point of view, which customers they are targeting today versus which other customers they would perhaps target starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Those have to be weighed in as well, because ultimately, it all comes down to planning. And for small to mid-sized organizations, the the success of their business may become so crucial for their continued survivability and sustenance.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been such a great conversation, and I wish we could continue because I'm going to have you back on, Murali, because I can, talk about this for hours. And what's interesting is that probably this time last year I wasn't even exploring AI, but I have to thank one of my friends, Aaron Case, who got me into exploring, and he was like, you got to start looking into this. And once I finally did, it's just taken off for me, and I leverage it every day in the work that I do. And it's really just great to have a conversation with somebody who understands it. And obviously, you've got much more exposure to it in different contexts. So it's great to bring that to the table. But before we sign off here, I wanted to give our listeners some key takeaways. And one, I think, being that AI really can be applied across so many different sectors and industries. And so I really encourage people to get involved, get interested. Don't be scared of AI, right? Start exploring. And I think, Marley, you had mentioned that earlier, right? Like start getting familiar with it, get awareness around what the technology is, how it can help you, even just in your everyday work. And I think, secondly, develop a strategy, right? An effective AI implementation requires a clear strategy, a knowledge base, a robust data infrastructure that's all aligned to business goals. And, ensuring that all of the stakeholders are talking and being transparent. I think that creating that strategy will be easy from that. And then I think, with AI adoption, start with it doing small projects. I think Morali, you had mentioned how do some prototyping, try to do some testing, and learn from those, understand what risks are out there. That's a good way to also get your team to rally around it. But being curious, developing a strategy that involves all stakeholders, and will help with the AI adoption piece as well. Marley, did you want to add anything else to that?
No, I think that was a good summarization of what we discussed, Sonal, but I would like to reiterate, right, what matters the most, right? Engaging key stakeholders early in the game matters.
Yeah,
Think, think,
absolutely.
Thinking big matters.
Yeah,
Strategy matters.
yeah,
Roadmap matters. And of course, starting small matters, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
it is definitely not about chasing a shiny object. I would like to reiterate it. I'm just to be very clear, I'm a AI practitioner. I'm also a AI researcher. And I advise organizations to implement AI solutions. So I'm providing a very unbiased view here based on my experiences and my hands-on engagement and multiple initiatives. So it is definitely not about chasing a shiny object, but
right.
ultimately it is all about how to leverage something new in the ways benefiting an organization's business purposes, perhaps in a very differentiating manner, right? Business
Yeah,
wise, business model wise. So that matters a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Murali. I really appreciate you joining me on my show today. Can you please let our listeners know where they can find you, whether it's on LinkedIn, your website, and then we'll also add that to the show notes.
Definitely, Sonal. I think the easiest way where someone can find my contact information is on my website. It is www.murali-kashaboina.com. That is where all the information is found, and I have links to my LinkedIn and other media links out there, so anyone can approach me or contact me from there onwards.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely put those links in the show notes. And I just wanted to remind everyone that if you wanted to get started on developing an AI strategy, please reach out to Minerva at Let's Talk at minervaconsultinginc.com. You can also go to our website at www.minervaconsultinginc.com. And before we head out here, I wanted to ask our listeners to take 3 quick next steps. 1, please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a new episode. Leave a rating and add a comment. I appreciate you joining me today, Murali. Thank you so much. And until our next episode, thank you.
Thank you for having me, so thank you.